astronauts? Are you ready to be entertained with pointless jibber-jabber and senseless small talk? If so, then you have come to the right place. It's the Todd Cook Show, starring Todd Cook, and featuring music by local and national artists. Now, broadcasting from his garage, here is Todd Cook.
Hi, it's me again. Of course it's me, Todd Cook. If it wasn't me, Todd Cook, who else would it be here hosting my own podcast other than me? This is the Todd Cook Show, and I am Todd Cook, and you're listening to episode 18 of the Todd Cook Show. A couple more episodes after this one, and I think I can call it a full season. A full season of the Todd Cook Show. Nowadays, television shows are only sometimes 7 or 8 episodes, and they call that a season. Others they have like 2 seasons, but it's all in 1 year, and it gets kind of confusing. But back in the day, it used to be a season of television shows, you know, The Cosby Show or Family Ties or any of those old classic, now I guess they are classic television shows. A season was a good 20 episodes. But nowadays, like I said, 6, 7, 8 episodes sometimes, and they call that a season. But this is episode 18 of the Todd Cook Show. I am recording live from my garage in Wichita, Kansas. Thank you so much for listening to this show. I got a good show lined up for you today. I'm going to tell you about me and my wife going out on a date. Yeah, it's been a while since we went out on a date. Anyway, I guess it's been a while since we went out and called it a date. For some reason, we called this one a date. And we went bowling. I'm going to tell you about that. Had a lot of fun doing that. And also, my wife and I, we did the impossible. We did something that most people out there would say, that's impossible. That cannot be done. But my wife and I did it, and we're going to tell you about that as well. And I also have some music by Dale Thompson. I played Dale Thompson a couple weeks back. He's my favorite artist of all time. I think I said that on the last time I played a song by him. I'm going to play another one of his tunes coming up in a few short minutes. And also, I want to give you a recipe. Something that my wife just made for supper a few hours ago. I'm going to give you that recipe. It's one of my favorites, and she likes it, and I like it, and at least one of her kids like it, I believe. It's pretty easy, and I think your family will like it as well, so that recipe is going to be coming up shortly. So bowling, let's get right to the stories. My wife and I went out on a date, and she asked me if I wanted to go out on a date with her, and I was like, baby, we're married. I don't think we go on dates anymore, but she preferred calling it a date, so we went out on a date, and you know, of course, you got at the movie and going out to eat. But we decided to go bowling instead of going to a movie. You go to a movie, we would have been in there, for 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on how long the movie is, and sitting there quietly watching a movie. And old fogies like us, you sit down on a seat in the dark for more than half hour or so. You start dozing off, getting tired. So we decided going bowling would be better. Bowling, you're at least standing up, and I don't think you're going to fall asleep bowling. If you do fall asleep bowling, you're probably going to get hurt with that big ball and falling down in those hard lanes and all. So we went bowling. And the first thing about bowling, and we went fairly recently, a while back, but I remember going as a child, and a lot has changed since then. We used to go when I was in middle school and even in high school, I believe, our PE class would go bowling on occasion to get on a bus. And looking back on this seemed ridiculous. I believe our PE class was just an hour. We'd hop on the bus. By the time we got to the bowling alley, I mean, it was like a real quick one game, if that, and I don't know how they did it. It seems like they wouldn't have enough time. But one thing that was different between back then and now is the no smoking laws. It used to be you go into a bowling alley, you go in smelling fresh as a daisy, and you come out smelling like a campfire. Bowling alleys were absolutely notorious for cigarette smoke. I mean, the only thing I can think of that had more cigarette smoke in it that I've been to before was a bingo casino down the road here. And that's you could go by literally and look in the windows, when it'd be dark outside and the lights would be on inside, and you could just see the flume of smoke over top of the heads of all the bingo players in there. But nowadays, you go to a bowling alley, the smoking's not allowed inside, so it's a whole different experience. But we decided to go to Cosmic Bowling, and that's usually later at night, and they shut all the lights off, and they turn on the blue lights, and it makes everything look like it's glowing in the dark. And this particular one didn't look as glowy in the darky as some of the other ones I'd been to. My wife and I and my two boys went probably a month ago to another place, and they had cosmic bowling. We didn't go bowling. We just walked by it, and it looked a lot darker and a lot more like everything was glowing in the dark. But still, a pretty neat experience. And I guess the only really complaint I had was, and I've had this complaint before, is the music. I don't think they do this all the time when the bowling alley is open, but whenever there's cosmic bowling, they got to play the music, and they can't just play it. They got to blare it through the speakers, and it was so stinking loud. Actually, I didn't complain about it at all while we were there. I remember I knew my wife probably wouldn't appreciate it if I, started complaining about how loud the music was. But I'm like that with other places. Now, if you go to a music concert where you're there to hear the music, and there's tens of thousands of people around, I guess I haven't been to too many concerts where there's that many people, but just a couple hundred or even a couple thousand people out there, the music's got to be loud, and just to be able to hear it, right? Everybody up in the back, and on top of that, that's why you're there. You want to hear the music. But in other situations, like when you're at a bar and they got live music, you want to hear the music. You're there partly because of the live music, but really, you also want to be able to socialize with your friends, whoever you're there with, your wife or your buddies. You want to be able to talk to them and have a conversation while the music's playing. And I've never quite understood why these places have to be so loud sometimes. And sometimes not even live music, just something over the jukebox or a DJ or whatever playing the music, and it's so loud, I just can't enjoy it. I want to be able to have a conversation, and I find myself, and I think part of it too for me is I don't have the best of hearing when it comes to loud situations like that, because I have noticed other people seem to be able to handle it a little better than I can. But with me, with my wife or something, at a loud place like that, there's loud music, whether it be a bar or a club or whatever it might be, and the music's playing, I find myself yelling like all the time and not being able to hear anything. I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom. What? I need to go to the bathroom. What? Bathroom. And I just hate having to yell like that. And somebody else, I can't remember where we were, but my wife was trying to tell me something. And I'm like, what? I can't hear you. What? And she gets right up to my ear, and she's like screaming in my ear, and I still can't hear her. So I really don't like when the music has to be that loud. So that was really the only complaint. Otherwise, it was really nice. It actually wasn't even that loud. We were able to talk there, but I wish the music wasn't quite as loud as it was. But so I highly recommend it, folks. If you haven't went bowling in a while, go bowling. And I remember going back. Another thing that I just I remember now is that I remember going back when I was in middle school and younger. My parents took us a few times, and you used to have to keep your own score. And a lot of the people listening to this right now probably don't even remember those days. It didn't used to always be that they had the TV screen, the computer that was taking your score for you. You used to have to write it down on a piece of paper. And when I was in middle school, I remember for PE class, we had to learn how to do a bowling score. Now I don't think I could ever do it. And I think it'd be even rarer to find anybody who knows how to score bowling because the computer does it for everybody. But it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. If it's been a while since you've been out on a date with your wife, take her bowling. She might enjoy it. You're listening to The Todd Cook Show, and I'll be right back in just a few short moments. Hi, Todd Cook here. Do you like going out on Friday or Saturday nights for some supper and live music, but you're not into the bar scene? Because let's face it, when the alcohol starts to flow, those places can get a little loud and a bit rowdy. Sometimes to the point that it becomes difficult for you to enjoy your food or the music. Do you wish that there was a place that had good food, good music, but a less distracting atmosphere? A place that you can enjoy the food and the music, but still get home at a decent hour? Well, that place does exist, and it's right here in Wichita on the corner of Douglas and Hillside, or 110 South Hillside to be exact. It's called The Kiln. They have live music every Friday and Saturday night starting at 7 p.m. and ending at 9. The Kiln is a Christian-ran, non-alcoholic establishment that operates solely on donations.
and they always have great food and great entertainment. And one of the best parts, you don't need a babysitter. You can bring the kids with you. So for more information, contact Mike through the Facebook page, The Kiln, K-I-L-N, and be sure to check it out yourself this Friday or Saturday night, 110 South Hillside, corner of Douglas and Hillside in Wichita. The Kiln, where they are always glad you came.
It's the Todd Cook Show, everybody. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com is... Let me turn that music down. Good gravy. I need to hire me an engineer out here, a board operator, somebody that can take care of this music for me. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com is my email address. Or you go to Facebook, The Todd Cook Show on Facebook, and you can find me there as well. One other thing that I forgot to mention about bowling alleys is, there used to be a lot of smoke, and that's just when I was a kid. We're talking, late 80s, late 80s when I, the first few times that I went bowling when I was younger, and the place was just covered in smoke. And I vividly remember walking in and just smelling the smoke and seeing the smoke, and then walking out and smelling the smoke still, and going home and still smelling the smoke because it was on us. And I was wondering if it was that bad in the mid to late 80s, I wonder how bad it was back in the 60s when everybody smoked. And I mean, everybody smoked. If you ever watched the show Mad Men, that takes place back in the 60s, and yeah, people smoked a lot back then. It must have been like I don't know if they had like a special ventilation system or what, but it must have been absolutely burn your eyes. And cigarette smoke doesn't bother me that bad, but it must have been quite an experience back then. All right, music by Dale Thompson coming up after this next segment here, and I'm going to share a recipe with you. And I told you at the beginning of the show that my wife and I had done something that most people out there might think is impossible. But we proved over the weekend, right after bowling, as a matter of fact, we proved that it can be done because we did it. And what that is we sang karaoke sober. I'm not kidding, folks. I'm not kidding. We literally sang karaoke 100% sober. And if any of you out there go to bars, karaoke bars, you might think that's impossible. But we proved that it's not impossible. It is quite possible. We sang karaoke sober. This bowling alley that we went to also has a bar right there. And shortly before we get ready to leave, I walked by and looked in. There's not that many people in there. I think everybody was out enjoying the cosmic bowling. The bar was fairly empty, and my wife and I like to do karaoke, and they were in there doing karaoke. And so I told her, I was like, all right, let's pack up, get our shoes changed, turn our shoes in, and let's go do a little karaoke. And we walked in there. And one of the main reasons, too, since there's not that many people in there, we knew we'd at least get a chance to do, one or two songs at least. It was fairly late at night by then. And, a lot of times you go into a karaoke bar, there's 100 people waiting to do their song, and you might be lucky just to get one song. But since there was very few people, we knew we'd be able to sing a song or two. So we went in there and got a little piece of paper, wrote down, and when we got in there was a guy that was singing "God Bless the USA" by Lee Green. What's his name? Lee Greenwood, and he was terrible. It was really bad, but that's okay. A lot of people, they say that's one of the reasons that they don't like going to do karaoke is because there's so many bad singers. They can't stand listening to bad singers. But it doesn't bother me. I kind of like it. I mean, this is a guy who was obviously out of his comfort zone and was up there just having a good time, had this song, wanted to sing it, and so he went for it. Great. And the best thing is, too, about another reason I don't mind hearing bad karaoke singers is the worse they sound, the better I'll sound. And even if I sound bad, even if I was worse than this guy, which I guess that's possible, there might have been people listening to me who's like, oh, geez, this guy's worse than that last guy. But since that first guy that went before me was so bad, it prepares the crowd for somebody who might be even worse. So I don't mind it. I like listening to bad singers. Like I said, he was having a good time. He was out of his comfort zone. I could tell he was nervous, but go go for it, dude. And he did. So I went up there and I put my name in, and I think I was the next one right after that guy because there wasn't that many people there. I think the whole time we were there, I think it was me and my wife, that guy, and this one other lady. It was like the four of us kind of rotating in and out, a fairly empty bar, but there we were. I went up and I did "Man of Constant Sorrow," which is a song that I sing in the band that I'm in, and then I did like "Bad Bad Lyra Brown" and I Feel Like Making Love by Bad Company, and of course when I was done there was a thunderous applaud, everybody clapping. When I was done, just big cheering. Okay, there wasn't any clapping. I don't think anybody was even paying attention, which makes it that much easier. But and then my wife went up and did what her song. She did "Black Horse and a Cherry Tree" by somebody that we didn't even know who it was. She just knows that song and had did it before in karaoke, and we had a great time. And from what I heard from me and my wife and the two other people, my wife was the best one out there. She did a great job, and really good for a pregnant lady, especially. When you get pregnant, you sometimes have hard times breathing and catching your breath, but she was able to go through it just fine. Didn't have any troubles whatsoever. And like I said, we've done karaoke quite a few times. We like doing it. With kids, we can't really go out and too much unless we get a babysitter. And we were fortunate enough that my wife's mom was able to babysit for us, and we went out but I remember this past Halloween, we went out, and I was going to tell you what we dressed up. Oh, we were dressed up like robots. We had these big cardboard suits on and like things that looked like a helmet on her head, and we looked like robots with these little buttons on us. It was all homemade. We went to a bar, and we sang karaoke, and they had a contest for the best costume, and they had a contest for the best karaoke singer, and my wife won both. She won, or maybe I won the costume, and she won. But either way, since we're married, it doesn't matter. The money goes to the same place. We won both. I know she won the karaoke. One of us won the costume contest, and I believe we ended up getting $150 before we left there. So we had twice as much money after we left than we did when we went in. So it's a lot of fun. And if anybody out there always want to try to do a little karaoke, but you're too nervous, too scared, get over it, man. It's a lot of fun. Love doing it. All right, I'll take another little short break here, and when I get back, I'm going to, what am I going to do? Oh, no, it's not time for a break. I got to play a song for you. This is a song by Dale Thompson off of his Dale Thompson and the Kentucky Cadillacs album. This song is called, I need to write this stuff down, and I need to have it on a piece of paper big enough where I can see it. I have it down, but it's small, and it's mixed in with a bunch of other stuff. But this song is by Dale Thompson. It's called "Hand Me Down Religion" on the Todd Cook Show.
Got it, baby.
Dale Thompson with Hand Me Down Religion from his Kentucky Cadillac CD. Look him up on YouTube, youtube.com/Dale Thompson Music. You can hear all the songs he's ever recorded right there. You go to bridepub.com, bridepub.com. This is the Todd Cook Show. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Do you live in the Wichita area? Are you looking for a great place for lunch or dinner? Do you love live acoustic music but don't know where to go? Try the Artichoke Sandwich Bar. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and it is a fantastic place to eat and listen to live music. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and what goes better with a sandwich than a cold beer? So look up the Artichoke Bar on Facebook today to find out when they are opened and what musical artist is performing next. They just celebrated their 30th year in business, so you know they're doing something right. The Artichoke Sandwich Bar, 811 North Broadway, Wichita, Kansas, where everything is okie dokie artichoke.
I'm sorry. I'm back. Apparently that commercial break was a little shorter than I realized. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com is my email address. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com, or you can look me up on Facebook. On Facebook, it's The Todd Cook Show on there as well. That song was brought to you by B&B Towing. B&B Towing, call Cheyenne Brown at 316-214-4021. If you need a tow, if you need a jump start, if you need a winch out, if you've been locked out of your car, if you need fuel delivery, if you have an old clunker car that you need to get rid of, you can call Cheyenne Brown at 316-214-4021. This only works if you're in Mulvane, Kansas. I know there's some people out there listening that do not live in the Wichita area, so don't call him. If you're in Vermont or Kentucky or California, he's not going to come out to tow your car. But if you're anywhere in the Wichita area, he will come out. Cheyenne Brown, 20-year veteran, United States Air Force, 316-214-4021. My wife has entered into the studio and has the mic in her hand because she's going to be the one to give you the recipe. But first, I got to tell you about this recipe. And before we get to that, actually, I want to tell you a little bit that there's a contest going on right now between Wichita and San Diego, California. A lot of you out there might not realize that, and the reason you have not realized that yet is because I'm making this contest up myself. And here's how the contest works. Here in Kansas, we get pretty dramatic changes in weather. It can be a warm one day and cold the next, but very rarely is it really nice. And I always check the San Diego forecast because I've always heard over the years that San Diego's got some great weather. And as it turns out, if you check their forecast frequently, you'll find out their weather there is absolutely amazing. I don't know how. It's some weird phenomenon. But so what I've been doing is every time that's been a really nice day, here in Wichita, I put a check on the calendar. And every time it's a nice day in San Diego, I put a check in the other corner of the calendar. And so far, San Diego is kicking our butt. And I'm pretty sure it's probably going to continue doing that. Since I've been doing it, it's been close to a month. There's only been 2 days that San Diego didn't get a check. And one was, and both of them actually, the one just had, like, it showed that there had been a trace of rain. And by a trace, I mean 0.01 inch of rain. So it might not even rain at all, maybe a little mist or something at some point during the day. And the other one didn't record any rain, but it had where it showed that it might have been it rained a little bit. It had like the little graphic on there that showed that it might have rained. So since I'm not in San Diego, I don't know for sure, but I didn't give it a check mark on those 2 days. But every other day it's been in the 70s and just absolutely gorgeous. All right, I'm going to give you a recipe, and the reason I'm going to give you this recipe is because it's one of my favorites. We just had it a few hours ago. We got this recipe from the Duggars, right, baby?
Yes.
The TV show with the kids with the family with about 20 kids. Hold your microphone real still. Not your fault. The mics, both of them got some kind of a short, but this one's in a stand, so it's not moving around. The show on TLC, I believe it is, where they got like 20 kids, and this is one of their go-tos. And when you got a big family like that, you need some go-tos. And we don't have a real big family, but it's a pretty nice little casserole dish. It's tater tot casserole. And now, folks, tater tots are pretty amazing. Okay, you can buy them frozen and cook them in the oven, And they're really simple. They're just kind of ground up potatoes, all smushed together and packed into this little nugget. But they're delicious. And there's actually a fast food restaurant around here in Wichita. They used to have tater tot. Do you remember what that was with the cheese? Or you get the chili and the cheese and like jalapenos at Sonic?
Yeah.
Was it like ultimate tater tot something?
I don't remember.
But there's just amazing little things. I really like them. And who knew that you could take these tater tots and turn them into a casserole? But my wife right now is going to read you the recipe. It's really simple. I wouldn't do this if it was really long. I know it's a really short little recipe. And you write this down and make you and your family a tater tot casserole. You do it as soon as you hear this podcast if you want. Go ahead, baby.
All right. First, you start with 3 pounds of tater tots, and then 1 can of cream of mushroom, 1 can cream of chicken, 1 can evaporated milk and cheese, and then 1 pound of ground meat. It could be hamburger, turkey, sausage, whatever you prefer. I like to use hamburger. Tonight I put taco seasoning in with it.
Oh, I didn't really realize that.
Tricky. That's why you thought I was making tacos.
Yeah,
Tricked you.
Oh, you know what I do? I remember seeing that. Then I asked you. I go, "We're having tacos." You didn't answer, did you?
No.
Oh, you did trick me then. I think I was outside, wasn't paying attention or something, and at some point I must have forgot that I saw the taco seasoning.
All right. Preheat the oven to 350, and you put the hamburger on the bottom. You got to cook it first.
Now this is in like a casserole, like a normal 9 by 11,
13,
9 by 13 glass dish, or like a cake pan, I guess it'd be.
Yeah.
Casserole dish.
Hamburger on bottom, then the tater tots, and then you mix all of the cream of mushroom, chicken, and milk all together. Pour that over the top and bake it for 50 minutes. And then you take it out, and then you put the cheese, shredded cheese on top, and then put it in there for another 10 minutes. You can do it without the cheese. I like to add the cheese on there. The recipe doesn't call for cheese, but I still do it because we love cheese on everything.
Yes, we do. And when you got 2 kids that are kind of picky, a little cheese goes a long way. All right, that's it, folks. That's the end of this episode 18 of the Todd Cook Show. Tune in next week. I might have a pretty big announcement, kind of something excited about that I'm excited about for this podcast. So you want to tune in again next week. The Todd Cook Show at Gmail is my email address. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week. I'll talk. You listen.